some advice regarding like how to keep your mouth closed when you're at work or when you think that somebody's cool with you and they be talking, they're not really cool with you. So you got to be careful. You know, you can say something and losing your job or being demoted or end up not getting that promotion. So I want to see what he's talking about. And so that way you can kind of see what he's saying.
Who the most dangerous person in corporate America is? It's not the toxic boss that wants you back in the office. It's not the micromanaging boss that's going to stay on top of everything you do. And it's not that snitching coworker you can't trust that ratted you out about the company card. It's somebody a lot more subtle, someone you might not even expect. It is the cool boss. We've all had one of these, one of those relatable bosses that tries to get on your level. Maybe they want to connect on music or movies or hobbies. Either way, they're trying really, really hard to get you to like them so you will trust them. The reason these managers are so dangerous is because, unlike the other managers where it's clear they're on the company side and then not on your side, these managers will trick you into a false sense of security. They'll make you believe that they care about you more than the business. This will inevitably lead to you saying something you should never tell a boss or manager or even a coworker at work. You'll talk to them about starting a family or going back to school or maybe even starting your own business. And once you give them this information, you are on a fast track to a PIP, which is a performance improvement plan, which means you're getting coached out of the organization. So it's not the toxic boss or the micromanager or even the snitch that you need to watch out for. It is the cool boss. Please share with a friend. Do you want?
So I'm gonna let you know this right now. I agree with him in certain instances. The cool boss, yes. If it's somebody that's always cool, I'll say this: I haven't really had a lot of issues with the cool boss. I think you have to know how to read people. A lot of people don't know how to read people at work. That's the thing. Everybody's not your friend. Everybody's not your friend outside of work. People have to know how to read people, and if you don't know how to read people, you're going to continue to keep having these issues. Case in point, clear example. So if somebody's always in your face, oh, how you doing? You know, it's always, the Bethany's and Melanies. Oh my God, how are you? How are you? Hi, hi, hi. Hi, hi, hi. And you're overly bubbly. Please go back to your desk. Please go sit down somewhere. Please, hi, say hello. Have a nice day. Oh, what are you doing today? Working. Oh, what are you going to do for lunch? Eat. You going to do anything fun on the weekend? Sleep and chill. And they kind of know where it's going, but they're trying to fish for information. I'm gonna tell you a story. And this one I can tell you countless stories like this. I can tell you one about the Latin dude who he's always I don't do that stuff. I'm a white Latino. He kept saying it over and over. That'll be another topic or another episode. But there was one where it was this girl. She was pretty much the work whore. We're just gonna call it what it is. And so what she was doing, she was sleeping with all the guys because it was a lot of money in this particular department. And the thing was, she rubbed some of the other girls. She was a white girl. She rubbed some of the other white girls wrong. So a lot of the other white girls could not stand her. They didn't want to hang out with her. There's nothing to talk about, et cetera. They shut her out. They didn't like her to begin with because they already kind of knew when she first started how she was, and it was like, we need to, stop hanging out with her. Well, the dudes actually was being passed around, which she was being passed around. They stopped messing with her. They was like, "Oh, okay, we kind of had our feel, please move along." She got upset and she didn't like that. So what happened was, what did she come to? Now she never hung around any other minorities at work. Never. Who did she come hang around with? The minorities. And I'm sitting here looking like, are you serious? You don't say hi to us. You don't bat an eye at us. You don't do anything. And you're gonna come and now you're in our group now. And what gets me about like a lot of the mothers, and this is at every company you work with, there's always the overly friendly black people. Black people, sometimes you gotta stop being overly friendly to people. High and by and keep it moving. And that was one of the things that I think was a downfall with a lot of places I've worked is these black people get comfortable because they're like, oh, we have a white person in our group or an Asian person in our group. I said, when did they come over here? I said, what happened? Why are they not hanging out in that group no more? Sure enough, she was getting stuff started at work. She was telling people about people's accounts and telling people that other people are getting special leads and all types of stuff. So things are just going from bad to worse. She comes and asks me a question. I was in the break room, and there was a few other people in the break room as well. She comes and asks me a question. I don't even really talk to the girl. She was like, "Well, what do you?" She said, "Well, how are you doing and everything?" I said, "Hey," and she was like, "Well, I'm having issues at work and everything." She says, "What do you think I should do?" I said, "Why are you having issues at work?" And she was like, "Well, I talked to this guy here and I talked to that guy there, and things kind of backfired. And then I went to another guy." I said, "So pretty much you talk to all the guys in the same department, or is it just talking? Because I'm still confused. Anybody can talk to anybody." I knew what she was talking about, but I'm playing stupid because I want her to say it so that way she don't uh say that I said that she's doing this. And she says, "Well, it was more romantic or whatever." Girl, it was romantic. They was laying it into you and passing you around. There was no romance in that whatsoever. But keep going. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So lo and behold, I just told her, I said, "Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you what I do at work. What I do at work is I mind my own business. I do my work. You might hear, oh, this person, I don't care. It ain't gonna help me pay my bills. It's not going to help me get none of these work assignments done. I could care less at this current time." And so that's all I said to her. I kid you not. That happened at noon, around noon. By 4:15, I get about 4:15, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get pulled into the office. All the managers and HR in there, and I'm like, "What is going on here?" And it's like, "Oh, we have to discuss something. Somebody came to us and said that you said she wasn't doing her job, and that she was sleeping around and all that." And I said, "No." I said, "I can tell you exactly who came and talked to me." And told him who actually came and spoke to me. And I said, at the end of the day, I said, she came to me about an issue that she's having with all these groups of people that everybody, including some people in this room, know about, because you hear it goes. That's why I don't like office settings. I don't want to work in a cubicle. I don't even want to work in a corner office. I don't want to see none of y'all asses. I like to go work from home. I like to go to the sites. I go to sites. I see them once every 3 months or once every 2 months, and I'm back at home. I don't need to be there with you every day. I don't need to hear about your whole life story. I don't need to be involved in that, because that's how you get caught up. And this is a perfect example. And me and her only spoke for probably a max of 5 minutes. But she went back, but this is where she went back to. Long story short, they had to write some information and put it in my file, and they was like, we don't tolerate. I said, "Tolerate what?" I said, she asked me a question. I gave her an answer of what I would do. And that's the end of the discussion. I said, "Y'all sitting here taking somebody's word who's knowingly causing issues at work," but it didn't matter. She was a white girl that was causing issues at work, but she was white. And so I said, that's why I like working in like an office setting. They say, "You want to know no, I don't want to work in an office setting, a cubicle. I don't want to go on a company picnic. I don't want to do a Zoom happy birthday, nothing. Give me my check and goodbye. That's it." So he's telling you the truth about, like, you have to be careful of people at work. Especially, there was another instance where we all have those coon-tastic guys. There was this black guy, and I'm telling you, being in Kansas, normally you have issues with the light-skinned people. You say what you want, get upset all you want, but in Kansas and Missouri, the light-skinned people, because your skin is like lighter, it's always just being close to whiteness, advancing the race. It's very prevalent in Kansas and Missouri. Anybody that said it isn't is lying to you. So it was always this advanced race and things of that nature. And so you see them have attitudes, or I don't hang out with those people, or I don't do this. And so it was this coontastic dude. And I don't know what happened, but they had went out to a bar, and he only hung around like the white and the Asians in that crew. And I don't know what happened specifically in terms of that, but the story that came back to the office the next day, this is why I don't work in offices. I don't want to hear none of this stuff. I don't want to be involved in a company outing or a happy hour. I just don't want to be involved in it. And the white girl was next to him. She said that he got too drunk and touched her. And I said, "So this black man touched this white girl in Kansas, and there is nobody else at work that heard about this, because we would have heard from the other people that, hey, he hangs out with. We would have heard this already. So this is weird." And then everybody else started saying it was weird too, because they said we was there. Actually, she went home. Actually, she stayed at the bar. Actually, she stayed at the bar. Everybody else went home, and the black dude actually went home with the one of the white dudes that we were at work with. So he was like, They said that's not true. She would have said something right then and there. It was like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. And so, long story short, got back to work. I don't care how many white folks, white will say something. They seen that it was this black man who allegedly attacked this white girl at a open in a bar where it's packed. The bar haven't heard nothing. They called the bar. They said we have not seen or heard nothing. Matter of fact, she barely spoke to him, and it was only at the bar, and it was actually somebody else in the middle of them, which was one of the other coworkers. And what she did was she went and she got an attorney, told the attorney that all these people are against her, and what she did is she like kind of manipulated the emails. So she had people write stuff, and then what she would do is she would kind of like say, well, what do you think happened here? What would you do if this happened to you? And so she was making these scenarios that weren't true, and then just attaching things together. Long story short, she ended up winning her lawsuit. She ended up getting paid, I think, $700,000, and she also got I think additional 2 years of like pay in terms of until she finds a job. And so pretty much she didn't find a job. She was on Facebook bragging about how she's living the high life, and everybody's so broke. And I'm telling you, took a complete lie and made it into something. This is why I tell you, like, all that friendship at work and coworkers, no, just stay home. If you can find a job working from home, have a job working from home. This is why Info Only Go is here for you, because I'm trying to give you the keys so that way you don't make the mistakes. You have people that will give you the information, and you guys continue to make the mistakes. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to go to these type of places and want to work, be prepared that this type of stuff is going to happen to you. Your business is going to get out there. I've had it happen to me where somebody lied on me, said that when I went to Atlanta, oh, this was a good one. I remember I went to Atlanta, and it was this lady, and she was like, "Oh, well, what did you do? And how did you?" And this was a teachable moment for me. And I said, "Oh, I went to Atlanta and had a good time. And one of my friends, he got a little too drunk and fell out. And then the cops were like on the other end. I guess there was some type of drug bust or something. I don't know what was going on over there. Just telling a general story. And then I told her that we also had people, they were racing down the street. I said it was very interesting. It was very live, and I've never seen that part of Atlanta. It was just really a good time. This lady went back to HR and to my manager. Oh my God. Well, he got a DUI. He told me that he had got drunk and fell out, and there was a shooting, and there might be charges and stuff against him, and he don't know if he's going to be able to stay employed, and a complete fabrication over something that did not happen. And I got pulled in the office, and it was like, well, we were informed that you might have a DUI and you got drunk, and it's not a representation of the company. And I said, none of that is true. They made me take a drug test. I had to take it was some other type of test I had to take, and then I had to write like this long report. I had to take time off, so I had to take my PTO until they made a decision on stuff, and it was just a whole fabrication, a whole lie. And the only thing that saved me was it was this other white lady that she was talking to, who was right there because she heard about it, and she said, "Wait a minute." I was sitting right there, and he said nothing of that sorts. And it took another white person to tell that this other white lady lied, and that was never the story. There was never no such thing that he said that. And that's why I tell you, like, working in like those type of environments and stuff is just not for me. If you can find a place, if you can get your own business and work, do it. That's why I cannot hate on anybody that has social media and they don't work for nobody else, or OnlyFans and they don't work for nobody else. So I hear people talk about them all the time. I'm like, at least they ain't work for nobody else. At least they don't have nobody down their back. At least they don't have nobody talking down to them and stuff. I said, they live in the high life. You the one sitting at work upset and depressed because you got this boss who's mean spirited and spreading lies and etc. But let's get to the comments of this. Mumu Fu says, so I am the cool boss. I want my team members to grow in their professional careers since I am cool. They have shared their shortcomings, and I set them up for success around their areas of weakness. I've had some bad managers, so I understand the skepticism, but Not everyone's trying to be nice to you is out to get you. I do agree with that. And I kind of emphasized that earlier. Unstoppable, less, whatever it is. Wow, I'm the cool boss because I genuinely care about my team and don't pull the boss card. I say we're all colleagues and I want them to pursue their goals. Nothing like having a boss that doesn't have your best interest at heart. I've been there. I know what she's talking about. Well, I don't know, I'll say that either. I work remotely as a contractor and had two pregnancies from cool bosses. It was glorious. I'm telling you, what did I just say? Working remotely. What did I say? Not having to be in an office. Get your own stuff. If you're not a doctor or something at that level, get your own business. Do you. Do not work for nobody else. Rita R. Souza, this is so true. Never trust anyone. Uh, MK26992, whatever. Rule number one, trust no one. I'm telling you, they speak in facts. You would get yourself caught up at work thinking that these people are best friends forever. It's the same outside of work, but just let me know your thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe. Please comment on the video as well. If you would also like to be a guest on the show, please DM me and let me know any details that you would like to be a co-host. And you have a good day. Talk to you soon.